5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey, space enthusiasts. Welcome back to another episode of the Space Business Podcast. Really excited to have another great European space entrepreneur on today. His name is Jaume Sanpera, and his company is called Sateliot. IoT, and the name already gives it away. They are focusing on IoT, or Internet of Things connectivity, using a satellite constellation. Jaume and I go into detail about this. We talk about what the use cases are currently and in the future, and what their technological solution is to provide this kind of service. You don't want to miss it. It's an important market, so please enjoy.
My name is Raphael, and I'm an investor and advisor to space companies. Just as a reminder, this podcast is for informational purposes only, and nothing should be taken as investment advice. This podcast is sponsored by Nano Avionics, a satellite manufacturer and mission integrator. Their technologies enable many space companies worldwide to offer services that improve life right here on Earth, such as providing global connectivity, conducting Earth observation, or contributing to scientific discoveries. Check them out, and also check out my episode with their CEO and co-founder. Sadly, I am not a rocket scientist, but I'm an alumnus of the International Space University. ISU offers a number of educational programs about space worldwide. Check them out at isunet.edu.
And just some final things before we start the episode about ourselves. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform, such as Apple or Spotify. If you want us help expand our work, you can do so and support us at www.patreon.com/Space Business Podcast, and we'll also put that link in the episode notes. And lastly, you can follow us on Twitter at podcast_space. Hey, space enthusiasts, welcome back for another episode of the Space Business Podcast. We're excited we have a great other European space entrepreneur on the show today, Jaume Sanpera from Sateliot IoT. Welcome, Jaume.
Oh, thank you very much, Raphael, for inviting us.
And let me start how I usually start these shows when we have entrepreneurs on, and I will ask you to give us the elevator pitch on Sateliot IoT, please.
Oh, thank you, Raphael. Sateliot IoT is the first 5G IoT constellation that connects fully standard 5G IoT or NB-IoT devices from space. We are an extension of coverage of the mobile operators. This is a completely disruptive way to accessing IoT from space. Since today, there have been some IoT constellations and some general purpose constellations that were connecting IoT up to proprietary devices. Our approach is completely different. Instead of developing our own satellite and our own device, we just have adapted our satellites to work directly with devices that today are using the mobile operators. This means, that there are already 2 billion devices up there that just with a software upgrade will be connecting directly to our constellation. And this is what allows us to be the coverage extender of the mobile operators. The usual user, the consumer, will be connecting to terrestrial networks, and once they use the coverage, will be connected in a complete seamless way to our constellation, and we will deliver back this information through a single roaming agreement to the MNO.
So this is very interesting. So this reminds me a little bit, and you're probably not surprised I'm asking that, there was a lot of news flow recently about satellites direct connecting to mobile handsets, right? I think it was mostly in the news. Well, as in the industry, we knew that there were some startups doing that for a while, right? Like Blink and AST, right? AST Space Mobile. But then I think it got into the more or less the general news because SpaceX announced their partnership with T-Mobile. And then I think within a matter of 2 weeks or so, there was like, what else was there? Apple and Globalstar. Iridium said they're going to do something with somebody. Even Huawei over in Asia with Baidu, the Chinese GNSS constellation. So am I correct in sort of making this comparison? Is it basically something similar, just instead of messaging for mobile handsets, you are basically direct connectivity for existing IoT devices, which are on the 5G network?
the example is perfectly correct. Okay, we have seen that all the industry today is looking at 5G direct to satellite. Then the first, without no doubt, the first that we are going to connect is the IoT. IoT has several advantages. First of all, it's that it doesn't need real time. This means that the business is it may be much more sustainable. We don't have to launch hundreds of satellites before starting to deliver service to a final user. We could start to deliver service with a very small constellation to non-time sensitive devices or applications.
And I guess it's sort of similar to the messaging services that the handset deals discuss. It's very low data rates, right?
Oh yes, we are talking about a standard that already exists, that it was invented for IoT, which is NB-IoT, that allows to send message up to 256 bytes. One of the main technological developments that we have been working on is that all the mobile handsets, it doesn't matter if it's an IoT or it's a cell phone, it needs real-time connectivity between the device, the base station, and the core in order to do the authentication. We have developed and patent a unique system that allows us to do store and forward. This means that our satellites will be storing the information and downloading it when there is a ground station. This has a huge impact on the business model because it means that we could start delivering service with a low-density constellation from day one instead of having to keep waiting to have a ground station at the same time in the device or to have a full satellite constellation with the inter-satellite links.
So can you give us some more details on your architecture? For example, like what kind of constellation size are you targeting and what kind of geographic coverage will that allow?
We are I'm myself, okay, I'm a telecom engineer, but we are very market focused. What we have seen is that in the market, there is 1/3 of the market of IoT. Okay, we are talking always Internet of Things that needs several messages per day. More than 1/3 of the market needs one message per hour. And the 25% of the market needs from one message per hour to real time. Okay, this is a broad image, a broad picture of what the market looks like as we have seen today. Okay, then what we are doing is that this next year, 2023, we are going to be with our first 5 satellites to several messages per day. This means that applications like agriculture, cattle management, or infrastructures will be already covered by our commercial service. By 2024, our plan is to launch 64 satellites. With 64 satellites, we are getting to 1 message per hour and or less. Okay, in the worst case, that's as you know, okay, as a space expert, it's in the equator. Okay, then if you go up from the equator down, okay, the frequency of the revisit time is much lower. And by 2025, okay, our plan is to go up to near real time. Okay, which means 250 satellites, or a number that will be fully close with our first constellation, but it will be around this. Still a small number of satellites with some of the constellations that people are planning to launch.
And what kind of satellite should we imagine here? Is this like, for example, like a 3U, 6U? What does it look like?
The one that we have already found, it's a 3U. The ones that we are launching next year, it's they are 6U. The final satellite will be the final. We are launching first quarter next year. Okay, what will be a final design of one of our satellites? Okay, or close to final design. Okay, but with this one will be decided will be the final size of the satellites that we will be keep launching. But as you know, one of the nice things of newer space is that this is not about building a satellite for 10 years or launching it for 20 years. Okay, this is a continuous evolution, continuous innovation, which means, okay, that I'm sure that the ones that will be launching Q1 2024 will be not the same that will be launching Q4 2024. Okay.
Yeah. And I assume obviously this is going to be in LEO, in low Earth orbit, right?
Yes, they are in LEO. We are launching at 550 kilometers.
So, I mean, I just have to ask an open bracket side question. Obviously, one big topic that's increasingly on people's mind, even in the broader public, is, space debris and the sort of risks of it. Is that 256 satellite? That's a reasonably sized constellation. Is that something you guys are thinking about? Are your satellites going to have propulsion for avoidance maneuver, this type of thing?
Yes, what we plan is that the life of our satellite will be around 5 years, and we are launching it with the needed propulsion to maintain it on the orbit, and after to deorbit once the life of the satellites it arrived to an end.
Okay, so that's on the space side. And then I guess since you are connecting, as you said, to existing 5G devices, in contrast to some other IoT business models, you don't need any sort of additional, ground-based infrastructure, right?
That's the nice part of our business, okay? And this is people. I think that now with all the movements that you have talked about of Apple saying that connecting direct to satellite and T-Mobile signing with SpaceX, the people have start to realize the impact that space will have on the day-to-day life. Okay, but IoT, I'm sure that will have even a much more impact on our life. Okay, we have to think that agriculture, for example, we are talking with people in Brazil. Brazil have 25% of the it depends on agriculture, and 70% of the country it has no mobile coverage. Today, it's impossible to do it with current because all the IoT constellations that today are in the market, they are perfect for critical IoT applications, but they are not for massive IoT applications, which is agriculture. Agriculture means hundreds of small sensors, okay, that they are a little bit everywhere. And when we are talking about cattle management, just in US, okay, they have more than 100 million cows, okay, that are in the middle of the mountain. Then all these sectors will be impacted. I am sure that there is no other SATCOM development today, okay, that will have such a broad impact on all the different sectors. Because we go in agriculture. Agriculture, it's 9 to 20% of the GDP of a lot of rest of our countries. Okay, we could improve 20% the benefits of agriculture, the efficiency of the agriculture, 40% less water. Water, that is one of the concerns that we all have in mind. Okay, 80% of the water it's used in agriculture. We could decrease it almost by half, okay? In cattle management, it means, okay, that you could control all your cows that are in the middle of nowhere. But in logistics, it's from 5 to 25% of GDP of all the countries, okay? Which is the impact, it's everywhere, okay? In logistics, one of the main problems that we have had these last years is the supply chain. And of course, one of the main concerns is where is my container, okay, and that today it's impossible to know. Then with the development of massive IoT technology like the one that we are launching into the market, all these problems will be solved. In logistics, we are talking about 5 to 10% of less of efficiency, okay, of savings. In infrastructures, just the cost of monitoring all these infrastructures is huge, okay? With IoT, again, all these could be decreased. Just the trains, okay, in order to control the railways, the decrease of cost of monitoring infrastructures on trains has decreased 20%. And these are only some numbers that we are launching in the market, because when you launch a technology that have a full ecosystem already developed, this is point number one, which is super important, because day one, there are people that have already developed devices for cows, devices for railways, devices for logistics. All this is already there, okay? The cost of the device is so low. We are talking about $5 to $10 per device, which is never seen. The cost of our service will be a little bit over the terrestrial cost, okay? We are talking about around $1 a month per device. All this means, okay, that the impact of finally, okay, the impact of IoT that it has not been there for a while, okay, will be possible to implement in massive IoT applications like all this. And we already know, we have already demonstrated, okay, that there will be a huge impact on different sectors.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in much more detail, because I think for sort of your average person on the street, because it's basically what you're describing is substantially a B2B product, right? And of course, so many people, unless they work in these sectors, may not be aware. Actually, let's talk about it now, and I'll come back to the other questions later. So if I take the average person on the street, right, their main exposure to IoT these days is Apple AirTags. So this is basically like, the use case is, okay, where's my stuff? I lost my key. Where's my key? Or, I put an AirTag on my cat. Where's my cat? And I guess the other thing is, to some extent, Tesla, right? Tesla owners, just again, like, where's my Tesla? Well, I guess they should know that. But sort of like, what's the battery status of my Tesla? And yeah, so for the use cases you described, so let's go a little bit more into detail. Like, so for example, when you're talking about an agricultural use case,
yes.
Like, at the end of the day, what kind of data is actually sent? Like, for example, is it about, like you mentioned water? Is it like the water content in the soil? Is that something? Is that like a data item?
That today are in the market, okay, that send more than 20 different parameters of the soil, okay, going from humidity, acidity, and all of these. Of course, we have to understand that the massive IoT, it goes together with artificial intelligence or machine learning, okay. Now, when you have one weather station in the middle of your field, you could look at that by yourself, okay. When you have hundreds of sensors, it will be the machine learning, okay, that will tell you have to go to the field number 4, okay, because it needs more water. The field number 5 will need less fertilizers, and the field number 12, okay, it's in danger because of I don't know, because I'm not a expert in agriculture, okay.
Yeah.
But all this, okay, it's something that it's already there. But also in the day-to-day life of all of us will be impact, okay, the capability of I love mountain biking, okay, and sometimes I always go with somebody, but sometimes when I go alone, okay, that you are in places where there is no mobile coverage, okay, the capability of sending an SOS when you have a problem. We are talking with a man, okay, that it's one of the main manufacturers of life jackets. That when you have when you are in the middle of the sea, one of the main problems is localizing you, okay? The capability of sending an SOS geo-localized that will be in all the life jackets, in all the boats, it's something amazing, because it costs $5 to put this device there, okay, which is nothing compared to the cost of a life.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, of course, I live in Switzerland, so that reminds me, so I wouldn't have thought about the open sea, but I've thought about sort of getting lost in the mountains or getting into an avalanche, right? And I think for a while, actually, there have been these sort of like devices which are embedded in some of the skiing jackets, which I guess I don't actually know how they connect. Do you know? Is that just to the mobile network?
These devices, okay, what allow is that there are special equipment to detect where the people is, okay, under the snow. Then they go there with these special devices, and they know that it's here or there, okay.
Okay. So it's really like specialized, customized equipment. It's not like it's connecting to the regular. But of course, the beauty of your solution, it's really open, right? It's not like a walled garden of any sort. Right?
Exactly. You have it everywhere, okay. Then it's not just for the professional sports people, okay. That of course they have this type of devices, but for all of us, once we get lost in the middle of nowhere, okay, and the devices are so small, and the batteries it lasts so long, because we are talking about batteries that last up to 10 years, okay, in a device that costs $5. This means that today the big boats, they all have IoT devices, of course, connected to the satellite networks. But we are thinking, you have to think about windsurfing or kite surfing being connected. Also, all of them, okay? It's a full connectivity dream of all these industries that they have. I was talking with the people from a smart grid, okay? A smart grid and a smart meters, which is one. A smart meters, okay, and the full smart grid development could save 15% of energy cost, okay, which today you have all these problems.
Ever more important.
Exactly. We have a lot. But one of the main problems is that there is a lot of places where there is no coverage. Okay. And when I say a lot, it means that 10 to 15%, which is a small part. But since we have everything connected, okay, and with renewable energy, okay, that before that there was just one place that it was producing energy and a lot of places consuming. But today we have a lot of places that they are creating energy that they have to be injected on the smart grid. All this requires full connectivity everywhere.
Yeah. So if you look at sort of the various use cases, given currently available architectures, what do you think is the most common use case right now? And then kind of looking a few years into future, what do you think is sort of the use case that may excite you the most that's not currently that prominent yet?
Today, the satellite IoT main applications is...
I'm sorry, it doesn't have to be specifically satellite IoT. It could just be something that connects like to currently where there is coverage to, via, what's it called, NB-IoT or something, yeah.
Today it's a smart city applications, okay? Because it's the only place where you could be sure, okay, that will be full coverage. We have, for example, all these garbage bins, okay, that are connected, and it could save a lot of travels of the truck, and other lights. Okay, and the light system of the city and pollution, all this is controlled by NB-IoT. Of course, there are, for example, we sit down with one of the main logistic operators in the world, and they have already 400, they have 3 million containers. They are going around the world. Okay, from these 3 million containers, they have 400, they are refrigerated. All these 400,000, they are already refrigerated. They have already NB-IoT technologies. Okay. What they say is that, of course, Jaume, we want full coverage. Today, we could not afford satellite IoT coverage because we are talking about 400,000, okay, which and 3 million of the rest of the containers. Then when we sit down with them, we say that, of course, we really want and we really need, because once the refrigeration it has a problem, okay, where you could not detect it if it's in the sea, in the middle of nowhere, and this means, okay, that all the food that it's on the container gets lost in hours. Okay, if we could have an alarm on that, okay, and you could not imagine the number of containers that they lost every year because they get downloaded in a wrong harbor or whatever. Okay, but then all these logistics, the big ones and the small ones. We are working with a US company that is doing a tag. Okay, and in the tag there is already printed the chipset. NB-IoT. Okay, this tag is going to cost $2. To send not millions of dollars package. Okay, but just some important packages. This tag will be amazing because it will tell you exactly what is your packet in every moment of the trip. Okay. Yeah.
And so the other thing I forgot to ask, we were talking a lot about basically the sensors, whatever, some sort of sensor on the ground, right, sending back data to the satellite. Is it just like this type of one-way communication, or are there also use cases where something gets sent back from space to the ground?
There is a lot of applications, okay, that just need one-way communications. Our satellites, they are bidirectional, as NB-IoT is, and we could read the level of water deposit and open and close a water source. Okay, and then is a two-way communications because we use MSS frequencies. Okay, we don't use open frequencies or unlicensed frequencies.
So I'm just opening a side question again on what you just mentioned, the frequencies. So when those news came out with SpaceX and T-Mobile and some of the other operators, one of the first questions a lot of people asked, like, well, how is this going to work in terms of like, spectrum allocation and frequencies which you need for that? How does it work for you guys, and is that solved?
Well, when we talk about using the same devices that today are already using the mobile operators, there are two solutions. Okay, the first one is to use the same frequencies that the mobile operators are already using on the and to close agreements with these with those MNOs in order to that they just give you a part of the spectrum, that use it from a satellite. With this approach, there are two problems. First one is that the frequencies that the companies, that mobile operators use, they are terrestrial frequencies. They are not satellite frequencies. Then, in principle, they could not be used from a satellite. Okay, then you need here a permission that today is not clear that the ITU and specifically the FCC in the United States, is going to give. Okay, the second one, and it's a physical problem. Okay, you have to use a frequency from a satellite, and that it has not to interfere to the LAN or to the station, which I think that this is there's a huge challenge there. Okay, that's not that easy because we live in Europe. Okay, United States, the space it's broader. Okay, in Europe, when you go from Switzerland to Luxembourg to France, okay, it's a matter of seconds. Okay, and you have to switch from one to the other because the operator in Luxembourg has not give you the same frequency that the one in the one in France, that the one in Belgium, that the one in Monaco. Okay, and then there is a very big technical problem. We do not use the frequencies of the mobile operators. We use specific frequencies that are allocated to the satellite, the MSS, frequencies, and we have already the ITU allowance in order to use these frequencies. Okay, and now what we are doing what is called the landing right. Okay, we are done the coordination. That's where we are right now. Okay, we have a large team of people working on that because more than it takes a long time, and a lot of efforts in order to have frequencies everywhere because you have to go country by country, closing down. But most of them, they are more administrative than nothing else. Okay, this is something that it have to be done. Our plan is that to launch our commercial service by the end of or second half of next year. Okay, by then we plan to have most of the important countries already with permissions.
But because the technical side is only one side, and you have the commercial side as well. So if you take both of them together, like what do you think are going to be your first coverage areas?
Well, first coverage, of course. Europe, there is we have to, in order to decide which countries are the most interesting one, we have to close to different aspects. First one is where there is more business, more devices to be connected, and the second one is where there is less coverage.
Where you need satellites, right? Because Europe is fine, but like you said, Europe, I have never actually looked at the coverage maps, but I imagine it's very covered by basically ground-based.
Then, if we close both aspects, okay, the most promising countries are US and America in general, okay, North and South America, because there is quite in the US there is a lot of business. In South America there are some applications, okay, that are very well developed, okay, and the coverage in even in North America, but also but especially in South America, it's very, very low compared to Europe, where there is a lot of coverage.
I mean, you mentioned Brazil, right? And I'm also Brazilian. I lived in Brazil for 8 years, right? Some people don't realize there is farms the size of a small country. So you actually probably really do need a satellite. I imagine something like Australia probably as well, right? With like huge space in the interior.
Yes. Australia also, it's a country, okay, that we are planning to go on first phase.
And how does that commercial rollout then look like? So how are you going to get the farmer in Brazil as a customer, or who the other way around? Who does the farmer in Brazil go to access your product?
That's a very interesting question, okay, because one of the big problems of conservation is to do a sustainable business, okay? And with the local LEO conservation, some people do not realize that LEO conservation means global coverage most of the time, okay? You could do equator constellation, but most of the constellations, they are polar orbits, which mean global coverage. But at the same time, it means that you have to sell everywhere, because if you just concentrate yourself in, let's look at the most promising market, which is US. US is 3% of the surface of the Earth. Okay, this means that 97% of the time, okay, your satellite will be doing nothing. Then you have to start selling at the same time in a lot of countries, and this means, okay, a lot of money just in commercial, apart from the technical part. The nice part of our business is that as we work with the same devices that the mobile operators are using, we just sign with the mobile operators, and they have already the customers. They have already the confidence of the customers. They already have the commercial networks that they arrive, and the customer care, okay, they have everything, okay, already there, okay, and they have the customer have not they have not to change the device and the way they are operating. They just have full coverage the day after, okay, and this is exactly what we are doing today. We have already signed with mobile operators in 47 countries of the world. 47 countries, okay, will be covered by the mobile operators. And one of them, okay, that we have already announced, that will be announced next month, okay, is Telefónica. Telefónica today is in 17 countries. This means that all the customers of Telefónica, when they reach out of coverage places, they will have full coverage, okay? And the message is so simple and so disrupting that it will be easier translated into the market. But at the same time, we didn't want to have the future of the company in the hands of the mobile operators, because they have their own objective.
I was going to ask you about that. Exactly. Because I mean, it reminds me a little bit like, because your product is still a somewhat specialized. Well, let me rephrase that. Your product strikes me as a product. You want to expand your market, right? So I could see how there's still a lot of need for customer education, right? That you have to go to some farmers and say like, and explain really the benefit of it, right? And I'm not sure intuitively that a mobile operator salesperson is the right salesperson. It reminds me a little bit of like, totally different industry, like the pharmaceuticals, when there's resellers, but typically the drug companies at least train them or even send somebody along who can really explain the benefits of the product.
You are perfectly right. Okay. The mobile operators, they have their own business. Okay. And you will have to sit down and wait that they start training agriculture or cattle management or infrastructure that they could be used in a different way. All the sensors, okay, maybe it's too late. And then but that's the reason why we have started what we call the early adopter program. The early adoption program, it's a program that we are developing with final customers and value-added resellers in order to fully understand what's the need of the market and educate them that what's coming on the next year. Okay, as soon as then with this, okay, we are signing what we call the pre-orders. These pre-orders, okay, are a letter of intent, okay, that they want, yes, we want to have all these sensors connected by 2023, 2024, 2025, okay, and it has been really surprising, okay, even for us, because we believe, okay, that we have in our hands a new disruptive solution that will have a huge impact in other sectors. But even for optimism, people like we are, okay, the result has been astonishing. Okay, we have signed in just 9 months with more than 500 value-added resellers and final customers. A number of devices connected, okay, that will suppose, okay, in terms of business, more than 1 billion sales on the next 3 years, okay, and this is the and of course all these will not be fully transformed in sales, okay, but most of them that will be, okay, and this is something without having real connectivity today, okay, just explaining them what we are going to have in the next future. They are ready to sign, and this means, okay, that the market is super open to a massive IoT service with low-cost devices that work with the current ecosystem applications.
When you mentioned just there that this came through, I think you said 500 basically partners. So is this mostly mobile operators, or is there also sort of what I'd call specialized resellers, integrators, what do you want to call them?
Exactly. We have signed with those 47 mobile operators, but apart from that, these are direct customers, logistic people, agrotech, a lot of agrotech companies, capital management companies, with a broad number of applications and solutions, that all of them, they are already in the market. These are people, that you cannot imagine, what how they open their eyes, when you say that's exactly the same solution that today you have, and you could sell it in Switzerland for agrotech, but you could not sell it in Brazil, You have the capability of selling everywhere.
Okay, terrific. And then one thing I forgot to ask you before is when you mentioned I believe you said $1 basically per device per month. But is it really like that, or does it not depend on the data rate at all? Like, I guess some sensors could send more data than others. Or?
Yes, it would depend finally, on the number of times, that you want to connect to the network, But we start. This is the average, that we have in our business plan, and the one, that we believe if we want to have. Of course, we could start at $5. $5 would be something disrupting, but it will not massive. And we believe that $1 plus a €5 device or $5 device is the solution that the market is expecting in order to use it massively everywhere.
Yeah, it was going to be my next question. Sort of like from what you've seen so far in terms of the feel you get for end customers, I guess. What matters the most to them? Is it whether it costs $1 or $3, or is it also other factors?
Of course, the advantage of working with the current ecosystem, that is already developed, it means that they have already gone to other very important aspects, of the solution, which is the battery life, which is the size of the device.
Yeah.
All this is something, that it's already there. In our case, they will use that this kind of dual system devices, that what we know they work with mobile and with satellite, but indeed you have two devices in one, and this means that the battery lasts very, very few months, or days, and with these applications in remote places. Battery life is super important, because what you want is to forget about the device, and just leaving it there. And once the battery is consumed, changing for another. Simple as this, Then, but we believe, that it's super important that all this ecosystem, You have today, day zero, you have hundreds of devices for agrotech, tens of devices for capital management, hundreds of devices for infrastructure. All this, it's years of development that we are jumping in, without having all these to be set up on from day one.
Yeah. So one thing that you mentioned, sort of, I'm very intrigued by, which is that it's a LEO constellation, and you mentioned the US being 3% of the landmass of the world, and of course, the vast majority of the surface area of the world are oceans, right? So that strikes me that really sort of ocean-based, let's call them ocean-based use cases, are really important, right? And
I guess
you mentioned containers already, so now I'm wondering, is there something else? Like, I haven't really thought about it. Like, maybe you can just have a bunch of buoys or sensors everywhere to track like climate relevant data, like water temperature and currents, or even like fish for preservation I don't know. Is there other stuff you're thinking about?
Fishing industries is super important. Fishing industries represents a very important source of income in a lot of countries. Not in Switzerland, of course, but in the rest of the world. And fishing, we have applications from the ones that control where and what do they fish, the fishing boats, but also to have the monitoring and the geolocalization of the fishing apparatus that they get lost in the middle of the sea, which is one important source of pollution of the seas, is the fishing apparatus that they lose, okay, in the middle of nowhere. Then all this, okay, it will be controlled by our devices. At the same time, okay, we love to say, okay, that a disruption like this, it could not only be business driven. Okay, we are going to have, as you have said, okay, a LEO constellation means global coverage and quite homogeneous capacity everywhere. Okay, then this means that we are going to have a lot of capacity in seas, a lot of capacity in the less developed countries. That's why, okay, we are signing with non-profit organization in order to deliver this connectivity to them, almost free of charge for environmental and social projects. We are talking about following endangered species. We are talking about following medicines that they are sent to Africa and they get lost before they arrive to the final destination. We are talking about people that is using buoys to measure contamination in the middle of the seas. All this, okay, is something that we want to use part of our energy and our capacity in order not just to have a super profitable company, but also to change a little bit, okay, our little bit, and bit is the bits, okay, that we are going to send to our constellation, the world as is today, okay. We love to say, okay, that because a connected world is a better world, and it's a real belief that we have in our company and we share with our with the other Sateliot.
No, I can certainly see positive impact use cases, and that's great. So talking about devices, well, let's talk a little bit more general. So just to make sure that I fully understand your strategy. I understand your strategy to be basically the connectivity provider between space and Earth, right? Like you said, there's a whole bunch of other pieces of the ecosystem, right? So for example, somebody has to produce the ground-based device, right? But I don't think that's something you guys are doing, right? That's you leave that to other people. And then the other part, I guess you already mentioned, is especially if there's more and more data, somebody has to sort of take that data and process it in a value-added way for the end customer. Is that something you guys are doing? Is that also left to other people?
We are just a connectivity provider, okay? And we believe, okay, that there are very, very good people doing devices, very good companies doing the applications and the machine learning that allows to take the right decisions. All this, it's an ecosystem that already exists, and we believe in them.
Okay, terrific. So if this all works out and things are going as you're planning, where would you like to see the company in about, I don't know, pick the right time frame, but let's say maybe 10 years time?
10 years time. We want to change the world with our massive IoT connectivity, and this is something real, okay, and this is something doable. Never, okay. There are huge developments in the world, okay, that allows to have fiber type connectivity in the middle of nowhere, okay. But our technology, it allows with a very low cost device to change what it cannot be measured cannot be changed, okay. Once you could measure everywhere in the middle of nowhere, okay, there's a lot of things that maybe change it. We foresee a company, a global company. This is global by definition. Okay, having a huge impact in all the different industries in all the world. Okay, we do not believe that we don't want to be the only one. A standard requires that there is more than one 5G IoT constellation, and I'm sure that it will be in the next future. Okay, but we foresee to be one of the main satellite constellations in the IoT arena.
Is there anything that keeps you up at night? Anything you're worried about, or you think still needs to be solved?
There is a lot of challenges still in front of us. Okay, I am super lucky. Okay, and I have an incredible team working with me in Sateliot that is covering all these concerns, all these challenges with a lot of mitigation solutions, to be successful very soon.
Yeah. I believe you're a serial entrepreneur, right? If it's something that's under your control, I'm sure you are, you have the conviction you and your team will solve it. I mean more like, is there something maybe extra, like an external factor that you think might be, of concern for either your business model or like for the sector at large?
I believe, okay, that there will be a lot. And when I say a lot, it means a lot of the companies that today are in the market that will not survive. Okay, because what I have seen is that, and I found it in the past, they are very, very nice technical solutions, but they have not solved the commercial part.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is the most important one, okay? Because if you have the best satellite with the best connectivity and nobody buys it, okay, it was nothing. And the costs are super high, okay, and the people, okay, in space, they are not cheap people, okay, because it's a scarce resource. Talent today, it's a scarce resource.
For sure.
Teleworking has changed completely. Spain today, it used to be a place, okay, where you have the cost of an engineer. It's completely different from Germany, okay. But today with teleworking, there's people in Spain that is working from German companies, and this is not there anymore. Then this means, okay, that you have to keep an eye on costs, but of course the only way to solve this is to have sales and margin, and something that some people forget and believe that if they have the best technological solution, everybody will be buying from them, and there is a lot of other factors, okay, in telecom that are not so easy to solve.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, to some extent, that's just the reality. We're in a very engineering-led sector, which has nice sides, but then like sometimes people forget about the commercial side. And then I guess the other thing, which is now totally different than it was 6 months ago. But of course, the funding environment was relatively easy. So people thought, well, we can keep working on our technological solution for many years because we're just going to raise another round. And I think people realize now that's over. They actually have to make some revenues.
Oh, yes. The SPAC time, okay, it's over.
Yeah. Let me ask you a few questions to close. So one, how did you come up with this? What is the story behind coming up with Sateliot IoT? Again, you're a serial entrepreneur. You've done many things. How did you sort of wake up one day and decide, well, I should be doing this?
I always say the same, okay? There are no bright ideas that it comes, you wake up one day and say, I'm going to build up. It's a path, okay, that you follow. You start. We started thinking that there was not a solution for IoT connectivity everywhere. My last company was dedicated to broadband connectivity through satellite. Then I wanted to do something different. We started to look at IoT, and we really believe that there was not a solution there. Then, with the help of the European Space Agency engineers, we arrived to this solution. Okay, one day we went out for a meeting. I say, okay, I got it. Okay, this is exactly what you have to do. All this commercial part that is super difficult. We could go through the mobile operators, all this ecosystem that you have to convince one by one to develop the device that works with your satellite constellation. It's over. This has been a much more difficult way to the market, okay? Because we have been working, as you know, for the last 2 years inside the 3GPP. We have been the number one space company in the world in number of contributions to the newer standard. This is something that we have been. It's a lot of work on a stealth mode before you got the solution. But now the solution is there. Of course, it's scalable, which is the magic word, that we work on any business.
So you mentioned you had a project in sort of broadband connectivity to space before, but have you always been in the space sector, or did you at some point in time you sort of increasingly, you would say you switched to space?
No, I have been always in the telecom sector.
Okay.
And then my last company was, we bought a 5G license, we deployed in non-urban areas, it was the first 5G fixed internet access in Europe, and we work a lot with satellite connectivity, broadband satellite connectivity. We did a very nice project in Morocco. We connect 6,000 schools and through satellite, and it was amazing times, doing broadband. But I come from the telecom, and for me, and I believe that this is an advantage. A space is just a way to deliver a service that the market is waiting for.
Yeah. Was there any particular, I don't know, lessons? Because there's a lot of people these days, I think, which are increasingly fascinated from space, but which are not from the space sector, but they're, again, trying to learn about space to use it for maybe the area that they have expertise in. Sort of from your journey, is there any sort of like, I don't know, hints, tips, advice, how you make that transition?
I remember, that I was listening to that a long time ago, and I do believe that it was just a sentence, but it's not a sentence, much more. The space is hard. It's real. When we work on with terrestrial base station, we just install it, and if it didn't work, we went back and we changed it. Space is not that easy as this, then and of course the investment are huge, and the time is much larger than any other, even in newer space, from one satellite to the next generation, it takes a lot of time between you build it up, you launch, you test, and you build a new one, and time is money.
How big is your team now?
We are inside the company 50 people, and have around 80 more people working in exclusivity for us in outside companies that develop the different parts of the solution.
You are hiring right now?
Oh yes, we are always hiring, and we are always funding. These are the two things. That you never stop. Hiring is super important, and we are finding. We are lucky that Barcelona is a place that everybody wants to.
Well, people want to live there as well. It's a nice lifestyle.
This is something. It's amazing because the engineers, the space engineers, and technical people, they really, it has a huge weight. Where do I to live, and Barcelona is an amazing city. We have amazing climate. And this is helping us a lot in order to hire very talented people going back to Barcelona or coming to Barcelona for the first time to work here. And the world it's fully open to move around for the space business, and we are hiring people from everywhere.
Yeah. We'll put your website and the job board or hiring link in the episode notes as well, so people can check that out. And Barcelona, fully agreed, and it's kind of a very vibrant tech/startup ecosystem for what I've seen. So I can see how people really like it for that as well. Let me ask you the last couple of questions we always ask. So one is, if you weren't doing satellite IoT, but of course now you have very, very good knowledge about what's going on in space, is there something else that you've thought about that, somebody should be doing this, or this is an attractive business?
I love to be investing on a space. I really believe that there is a space for people that understand the sector and keeps investing on the early stages. That's something that you do. And I really believe that the sector needs it. And especially in Spain, that's where I move. There is no one fund dedicated to space for early stages, and the ones that are there, of course, it's a very specific sector, and you have to fully understand the business to be in there. This is something that maybe someday I'll be dedicated to.
Yeah. Understood. And then our final question is always the same. Science fiction. Do you like science fiction? And if so, any particular book or movie or TV show?
Of course, I think that all the ones that work in space love science fiction, and one of my favorite TV series it's Strange Things. Okay, a lot of fun. I really and it's so I enjoy it because the characters are so well defined of each of them. Okay, having a different role on the series. Okay, that it is one of my favorites.
Yeah, so same here. Well, Jaume, thank you so much for coming on. This was very interesting to learn about the IoT business in general and about what Sateliot IoT is doing. And good luck with the business and everything else.
Thank you all for the invitation. Okay, fully open to any other questions. Okay, that your audience may have.
Thanks.
And that's a wrap for another nominal episode of the Space Business Podcast. Once more, if you enjoyed this, please leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platforms such as Apple or Spotify. You can follow us on Twitter at podcast_space. You can support us at www.patreon.com/Space Business Podcast. Lastly, if you have any feedback, including ideas for guests, and that may include yourself if you have an interesting space story to tell, or interested in being a sponsor, drop us an email at spacebusinesspodcast@gmail.com. See you for the next episode.